I guess we're starting.
This movie fucking sucks.
This
movie
fucking sucks.
so hard.
This
I'm
movie's
right.
terrible.
I'm literally right here with this fucking movie.
Fun and games.
This movie, like,
At least Funny Games isn't 3 hours long.
Yeah.
This movie has Anna de Armas, who I think is really good. Like, I think she is really good.
I got nothing bad to say about any of the actors in this.
No,
but
other than her occasional accent.
Right. There's this whole thing about how they went and they did all this work to edit out the fact that she has a Cuban accent. They didn't fucking actually do that, did they?
Not really.
No.
Not that much.
Because there's 3/4 of this movie, she sounds like she's fucking Cuban.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's 3/4, but it
sounds like
kept,
Desi Arnaz's niece or something like that. Exactly.
kept showing, especially coming off of Don't Answer, whatever the door movie we just watched.
Don't bother to knock.
Don't bother to knock. You know what she sounds like,
Right?
And this is sliding in and out of that.
The funny thing is that
I don't think it ever slides into it.
I just realized what your
additionally
screenshot is.
sliding out of it.
Yeah, I didn't notice the accent. It didn't actually bother me that much because I think she was more trying for that breathy Marilyn Monroe kind of. It's half.
She was, but she did it with a Cuban accent.
Yeah, but I noticed it, but it didn't. I don't think it bothered me that much. You know what I mean?
Her mannerisms, though,
it wouldn't have bothered
because everything else was in place. First of all, she's arrestingly beautiful. Just
well, sometimes the illusion was really there. It was like you had to look twice to go, no, that's not Marilyn.
Yeah, if you see
until they get to Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and they have whoever the fuck dubbed over her singing voice, and it was just like, what the fuck is going on here?
But the visuals in that I wish I had the background on the screen,
and that's
looked really good. They spent some time on this thing, you know.
My 50-50, like I said, like for everything.
Yeah, 2 hours and 49 minutes.
I liked about this movie. There's something I equally disliked, but the visuals, the art direction, the acting, there is definitely talent behind the camera. But
every time the movie did something to pull me in, then it immediately went and did something that just repelled me.
I want to take all the people who are bitching about Napoleon right now and make them because I've now seen 3 biopics this year.
Right.
I saw Oppenheimer, this, and
Napoleon.
Well, yeah, Napoleon. You've got directors with agendas taking someone's life, which is well documented. There's so much shit in this movie that never fucking happened.
Yeah.
The same way
you didn't see Barbie?
And things that did happen.
Barbie's not a goddamn biopic.
Well,
as far as we know,
where I come from.
No, Oppenheimer's a fucking biopic. And so there's a lot of like, okay, so you've got an agenda. You want to what's this movie fucking about? Because if it's about fame,
it's not about anything.
Yeah,
you did a much better job in Jesse James talking about fame and the people who will do anything to get famous, etc.
The fact that this is Andrew Dominick is so fucking disappointing.
A little bit.
But he's always had capacity to go kind of like cheap and
weird. He has the capacity to go bad, and he went real bad here.
Yeah, he went real bad. No, mind you, I think that whoever wrote this, him and somebody else, I can't remember the co-writer.
No, he adapted the book.
I know.
Yes, but Joyce Carol Oates' book is also dog shit. Like
I can't believe they hung the idea of like, my dad, my father, are you my daddy? And
oh my god! Every fucking time,
because you knew where she was going.
You're giving me flashbacks now.
Oh my god! You know what? This is weird. What this reminded me of? The movie, The Elephant Man.
That's a good movie,
because it was about this person who was freakish, not freakishly beautiful, but freakishly ugly, but was obsessed with that cameo of his mother. And that was the thing that drove.
This is the best scene in this movie, and it's maybe the only human scene in this movie.
One of them, yeah.
This is the only time I believe anyone in this movie is a human being.
The Arthur Miller section is the best part of the movie because Adrian Brody.
Because Adrian Brody is so good.
I actually disagree. I think that Adrian Brody is overplayed. It's this tortured.
I'm glad I can't see you, so you can't see me do this.
I think he can see you.
No, I can see you just fine, dude.
I didn't say that. I said I'm glad I can't see you.
I'm going to superimpose me giving you the finger back right here, so that'll work really well.
Cool. Big knock.
Good job.
He can put it in post.
The other people in this film are ascending series of cliches. You know, like, oh, I need the floor for just a second. All right, ready? I know just embodied voice says, I thought the JFK sex scene was one of the funniest fucking sex scenes
That
I
why
have
this
seen
got an NC-17?
in this any film
It
I've
must
ever
be.
seen. Was it what's his name?
Ken
The guy who
Russell?
did the guy who did Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Oh, well, it's Ebert basically.
No, but who directed it?
Myers.
Russ
Yeah,
Myers.
Russ Myers.
Russ Myers. You gave him that script to do that scene. He'd probably shoot himself in the head because it's embarrassing having her doing his internal monologue while she's going down on the president of the United States. It's just the most.
I did like the fact that
it's the most
Kennedy
insane thing
was
that's ever
wearing
been
his
done.
corset.
Yeah, what is that? Was he in a truss?
Yeah, well, he's always had
fucked
back
his
problems.
back up during the war.
No. He has a disease. Like he has Addison's disease, which prevents you from it fucks up your muscles.
Right.
So he was wearing essentially like a
girdle, like a steel
like
girdle.
a girdle,
Like
Yeah.
a brace.
to keep him upright. And there's
Yeah,
a
it was
lot
real
of
sexy, all right.
there's a lot of
It was.
speculation that the fact that he got shot through the throat and then didn't fall forward is because he was wearing that
Oh,
that for the Addison's disease
that makes
and went
sense.
through his head
Yeah.
for the third shot.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Anyway,
So the big knock on this movie at the time that it was released is people like didn't even
is that it's bad?
well no there was a lot of like people this got a Razzies etc.
oh, it won the Razzies.
I think the bigger problem this movie is
That's bad.
like as I was trying to say I don't think this movie gives a fuck about Marilyn Monroe.
No.
Certainly does
I
not.
think that she is a person with hopes and dreams and like
She's not a person in this movie.
No,
she's
it's
a
a
vessel
vehicle.
she's a vessel for the story to occur through.
Well, it's everything happens to her, and I guess the other knock on this movie, and which one I sort of buy into after 2.5 hours of this is just misery porn.
Right.
We're just putting this character who was an actual person who is no longer alive to defend herself.
Yeah, I
It's
felt
just
that.
Awful scene after awful scene after awful scene of her crying and being abused, and then more bullshit. And after a while, that fucking sucked.
It did.
It's gross on that level
Yeah,
for
you're
sure.
literally digging her out of her grave.
It's gross on
and
every level.
to
Well,
exploit her
because
for another 3 hours.
Yes.
I know why Jared probably picked one of the reasons he picked this is because the movie actually unlike there's no mention of John Huston's The Misfits in this. There's other movies they spend a fair amount of time on the Door movie, and like that was interesting to sort of have these two things sort of sync up. But all of the there's the occasional scene where she surprises everybody because she's read Dostoevsky.
Yeah.
Like she surprises Arthur Miller because she has some sort of an insight into one of the characters in his plays. Like that was interesting to me because
You're my Magda. That was so good.
That was
dull, which is why I hate that part so much.
But I think that there is something interesting about having this archetype of 50s glamour. Like, no, this was actually a real person who wanted to be taken seriously as an actress and as a performer, who had horrible upbringing, which gave her all kinds of other horrible, issues in her personality, which fame just made all the worse. Like,
and a lot of that shit still isn't real. Like it's just
they didn't care about any of that. It was
they didn't. It was just an excuse. It was, like you said, a vehicle in order to make this film and have a lot of slow motion. I mean, that's one reason the fucking thing is so long, is there's half of it's in fucking slow motion.
But at the same
and
time,
again, we have to blame Joyce Carol Oates for this. Like Joyce Carol Oates' novel that this is based on is bullshit. Like
I just thought that but there were things that I like, and I get the point he's trying to make, but when she's having like the makeup she sees herself and she sees the persona in the mirror and it's like a personality change.
Right.
Like that shit was this stuff. That was sort of interesting. The all the scenes where it's just the crowd of guys and distorting their faces a little.
That one that you watched. I watched that scene just a couple minutes ago.
That was pretty.
That was that shot of like all those guys. They did that AI thing with their mouths. Did you see Humphrey Bogart in that scene?
No,
I didn't.
Humphrey Bogart's in that scene. He just goes by.
All the work that they did to take.
How could I see Humphrey Bogart in that scene because it sucked?
Well, fair point. But
I thought that all the stuff, the work that they did, you know, again, just recreating stuff that's sort of burned into our brain, like the shot behind, like I thought that was all sort of well done. Like all the technical aspects of this movie, I thought were interesting. Nick Cave's score, I thought was pretty freaking great.
Yeah.
There's a shot
most of the time.
When they start the New York section of the film, there's a shot of Arthur Miller walking down the street. It's a wide shot down the street of New York, and it's like a Kodachrome photo from that period.
Yeah,
it's
like all that shit was
gorgeous.
Oh, no, they spent some time on the look of the thing.
The point in the movie where she's on the phone and it's like, oh daddy, and then the volume drops out and it's just like, oh fuck.
Yeah. It's just a big bag of tricks, you know.
Now, mind you, I'm going to tell one part of the film that I thought was, you know, that you have to have in any screenplay. There's the height of settled success, whatever that the character is the happiest and most fulfilled was her and those two Nepo boys. You know,
which apparently never happened.
No, it didn't.
No,
hey, you know what did happen?
She married them, but at different times.
I know it. The thing is, okay, there's what didn't happen and is what happened in the film. About this film.
You know what did happen?
Hold on.
She married another guy before Joe DiMaggio. That's not in the movie.
Let me finish the thought here.
Also, the guy who plays Joe DiMaggio sucks as Joe DiMaggio.
Okay, the thing is, I'll get that in a second. But the thing is that she seemed with this polyamorous relationship in the 1950s. With these two guys who were, you know, like both connected studio guys, was actually kind of sweet, and it seemed like she was really getting what she wanted at that point.
But I never trusted those guys.
I did. I had no. Weirdly enough, I had no problem. I had no problem with it
for good reason, John. Because
and then they show up and try to blackmail Joe DiMaggio with the
photos, with the negatives.
Joe DiMaggio, that was ridiculous. When he literally shows up in a wife beater, I was like, okay, that's you know, there's that whole Goomba thing with the Italian in the kitchen. I mean, come on, you're not even trying at that point. You know what I mean?
Michael Nouri, who plays Joe DiMaggio in 61, is so much better at being Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah.
Than Bobby Cannavale is at being.
He's
Joe
Italian,
DiMaggio.
get it? You know, Italian. See?
Yeah. Well, hey, Nouri, also a Japanese name.
Yeah, I know.
This goddamn movie.
Jim, what does Jim think of Blonde?
Okay, John. Okay, Blonde. What do you think of Jim?
I don't have words. My vocabulary fails me.
Take your corner, man.
It's just bad.
It's just bad.
Yeah. It's just bad. I mean, no amount of beautiful shots and Adrian Brody can save it.
Yeah, I said,
you know, I thought, and if you want to do somebody brought up that, you know, she wasn't a dumb blonde, but if you want to do that, I think it was Nicholas Roeg actually made a movie about her and Einstein.
Insignificance.
Oh, right.
Insignificance, which is pretty good. I thought.
Totally
that's on my short list to pick, Jim.
Yeah, okay.
That's
I don't want another Marilyn Monroe movie. I just don't.
Yeah.
No,
I'm going to pick the documentary then.
Well, and I also understand that there was that thing, Norma, Jean, and Marilyn with
yeah, that's right.
Really played on the whole their
Michelle Williams, right?
Personas.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a movie with a talking fetus in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was I the only one who kept seeing the Star Child at the end of 2001?
Oh no, it did look like the Star Child.
Far from it.
Yeah.
We all saw that.
Because we know that the Star Child in the book, what does he do? He starts setting off the orbiting nuclear platforms. And I was waiting for this Star Child to do that.
Oh no, you're waiting for Marilyn to be in Dr. Strangelove, but she died before that.
I was waiting for Peter Sellers to.
Maybe we can do a Jim. Maybe we can do a master cut.
Yeah.
2001, Dr. Strangelove, and Blonde.
No, I will kill all of you.
And we should dedicate it to Tad.
We're not talking the hunt for Muppet October here, damn it.
I was trying to imagine
Muppet October.
That's what this movie needed, was Muppets.
It needed Muppets. Even I'll admit that.
Arthur Miller should be played by a Muppet.
Who else? Did anybody here see Elvis besides me?
I did.
I saw most of it on TV.
I see Elvis every night.
Well,
he lives here in
I saw him in a tortilla.
Chris, do a compare and contrast.
That was Jesus.
No, I mean,
Elvis actually hold a couple of things in common.
No, I Jesus think, shows up in the dog's butt.
The strange parallels.
The thing about Elvis that I liked is that Elvis, there's plenty of bad shit in the Elvis movie.
There is.
Like they spend as much time on fat, sweaty, on drugs Elvis as they do on young, hot Elvis.
But that movie has something in common with this one. In that respect.
I've been to Graceland. He was old and sweaty and gross for a while.
But the point I'm trying to make is there's a warts and all version of the movie we watched here that actually gives a fuck about Marilyn. I try to imagine.
And this movie is not that movie.
Yeah. Picking this guy, Dominick, but you had a movie that was blessed by her estate. So you had that push-pull between respectful, we actually give a fuck about the title character of this movie, but all the other stuff, like, tell the story about how fame destroyed her. But if you do it from a perspective of, this was actually a sentient, caring individual with a lot of emotional problems.
Right.
Terrible fucking upbringing. Like there's a movie there that's more sympathetic to her.
It's never sympathetic to her.
This movie presents all
cares about her.
It presents all that stuff. It presents all that stuff, but it's never empathetic. It's just tawdry. It's tawdry.
It's like LA Confidential. It's all like
LA Confidential again is a good movie.
No, I'm talking about the magazine.
No, Baz Luhrmann, he picked Elvis and he made the film. He just realized he was trying to make a biopic about someone who's probably still controversial, and so he just turned it up to 11. That film was the first 40 minutes. That film is one uninterrupted drug trip, and it's like
pretty much.
Yeah, and this one tries to be too earnest. Blonde tries to think
it's so gross. It's so fucking gross,
and it's self-important, which is just makes it all worse.
Huge.
It comes off like David Lynch most of the time.
It's not as good. The first movie was more like a David Lynch movie than this.
Like this because he wouldn't have brought a real person into it.
Also, David Lynch has a sense of humor.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no
which this movie absolutely does not.
Speaking of directors I wish had directed this movie,
Man was a real person.
Lynch would have done this story better. John Waters, I would love to see the John Waters version of this.
You know what? He wouldn't do it. He has too much respect for her. He wouldn't.
Yeah, you're right. He wouldn't.
Yeah.
You're right.
Or it would have been,
Or he would have made a documentary about her, which can you imagine the John Waters documentary about Marilyn Monroe?
That I would watch.
In a second.
You know, no one's ever made this film, and this film to me needs to be made as a biopic about the making of the Misfits, because there was so much stuff going on when that film was being made.
I was surprised that there was nothing in this.
Nothing.
They don't even mention it.
Because
Montgomery Clift, Marilyn Monroe, John Huston.
Because that gives
Clark Gable was dying.
Too much.
Clark
Gable was dying,
gives her too much. That gives her too much fucking
agency,
autonomy,
and this movie is not allowed to give her agency. Like,
no,
she must be the victim in every scene that she's in. And it's just
and also delusional. Always like looking for daddy the entire movie.
It's so every time she calls whichever husband it is daddy, it's just like fucking stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Done that. I don't know. Like I read a bunch of shit after I watched this. Like, okay, what's real? What isn't? The daddy thing might have been real. It doesn't matter.
But also may not have been.
She's a punching bag in every fucking scene.
She's always the victim.
Yeah.
Speaking of what's real and not real, and I know this movie's it's not a documentary. The stuff where she was really falling apart during Some Like It Hot and had to keep being escorted off the stage and drugged up.
Real?
No, that actually happened. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty real. Actually, she and Wilder.
It's such a good movie. You would never know.
Yeah.
No,
and Wilder, man. Billy Wilder had a good movie, man.
Billy Wilder had to cut around it.
You didn't want to talk to her when it was over.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah. But okay, we're actually kind of circling ourselves, so I guess we just try to wrap it up.
The technical stuff for me is
it can't go.
No, I mean, it's a thumbs down. But you have to imagine me putting this film in the driveway and backing over it with the car a couple of times. That's kind of how I feel about it at this point.
I'm going to take it out in the backyard and shoot it.
There you go.
Fuck like this movie entirely.
Like the rabid cur that
individual shots and sequences I thought were really fucking great, but yes,
it's weird because like Andrew Dominick is a really good filmmaker, and like I have enjoyed many things that he's done before this, but this movie sucks